8 years, that's how long we'd been married. On paper, we had everything people envy. A charming home tucked in a quiet suburb, 2 cars in the driveway, matching mugs that said his and hers, and smiles that photographed well at dinner parties. Friends would comment on how lucky we were to have found each other so young. They envied our ease, our jokes, our connection. But people only see what you show them. His name was Aiden, tall, calm, confident, the kind of man who spoke little but made people listen. I'd fallen in love with him in college, during a group project where he didn't say a word until the final presentation. When he finally did, his voice filled the room like music. Me, a chaotic ball of energy and daydreams, found stillness in him. He grounded me, or so I thought. In our first few years together, life felt golden. We traveled, laughed, made mistakes, made love. He called me his North Star. I believed him. I believed everything he said, even when his words stopped matching his eyes. It started small, late meetings, work trips extended by a day or two, missed dinners, unanswered texts. I noticed the changes. Of course I did, the lingering scent of unfamiliar perfume on his collar. The way his smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. But I chalked it up to stress. He was working so hard, building something, providing for us. I made excuses. That's what love does when it's scared. It fills in the blanks with hope. One night, I was curled on the couch waiting for him. It was past midnight. The TV played some old rom-com, the kind where men always come home with flowers and apologies. I clutched my phone, rereading the one-word reply he'd sent hours ago, busy. When he finally walked through the door, I forced a smile. He kissed my forehead, didn't meet my eyes, and muttered something about a client emergency. I believed him, or at least pretended to. Because what was the alternative? To confront him, to tear open the illusion we'd built? I wasn't ready. Not yet, and then came her, Elena, the new secretary, 26, legs for days, always in pencil skirts that hugged her like secrets. I met her once in the office lobby when I surprised Aiden with lunch. She smiled too wide, called me Mrs. Reynolds in a sugary tone, and looked at him a little too long when she said goodbye. "She's harmless," he said later, laughing, "young and eager, reminds me of you when we first met." That should have been a red flag. Instead, I wore it like a compliment. Over the next few months, I lost him inch by inch. The bed grew colder, the conversations shorter. He stopped holding my hand in public. My birthday came and went with just a text. "Happy B-Day, crazy day, love you." But still, I stayed. Loved harder, cooked his favorite meals, wore red lipstick like he used to love. I even suggested counseling. He said I was being dramatic. Then came the morning that shattered everything. I woke up to silence. No humming shower, no smell of his cologne, no movement, just stillness. I walked into the kitchen. The coffee pot was empty. His keys were gone, so was his favorite jacket. I checked the garage. His car was missing. A chill ran through me, but I clung to logic. Maybe an early meeting. Maybe he didn't want to wake me. I texted him, "Where are you?" No reply. Then I logged into our bank account. I thought it was a glitch at first. $0.000. I refreshed, checked again, still zero. I sat down slowly, heart pounding, opened the account details. My hands began to shake as I saw transfer after transfer, all to unknown accounts, over the past 2 weeks. Thousands, tens of thousands, every cent we had saved, gone. I tried to call, straight to voicemail. I called again, and again, nothing. Panic surged. I called his office. Aiden resigned last week. The receptionist said politely, said he was taking time off to travel. Travel? That was the moment I felt it. Not confusion, not heartbreak. Abandonment. He was gone. No note, no explanation, no goodbye, just silence and an empty account. I don't remember much of the first week after Aiden left. Time didn't move in hours or days. It moved in breakdowns, quiet ones, messy ones, loud ones. I'd find myself standing in the kitchen, holding a mug I didn't remember pouring, or waking up on the bathroom floor with dried tears on my cheeks. I ate only when my body shook from hunger, slept only when exhaustion dragged me under. Grief doesn't knock politely. It kicks in the door and settles in your chest like a squatter, refusing to leave. On the third day, I opened my closet and his scent hit me. That same scent I used to inhale when we danced in the kitchen or curled up on rainy mornings. I slid down to the floor, clutching his forgotten sweatshirt, and cried until my body went numb. The first betrayal was emotional, but the second was financial. The bank called. They couldn't reverse the transfers. Joint account, equal access, they said. The woman on the phone sounded almost sympathetic until she explained the loans. What loans? I asked, confused. Apparently, he had taken out 3 loans under my name, forged my signature, used my credit. I was liable for over $90,000 of debt I didn't know existed. I felt the room spin. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was broke and legally screwed. When the calls started coming, debt collectors, angry voices demanding repayment, I stopped answering my phone. I couldn't bear the shame in their tone. I wasn't the woman with her life together anymore. I wasn't a wife. I was a ghost of someone who used to be whole. The neighbors noticed. I saw the way Mrs. Cranston looked at me when I dragged the trash out in pajamas at 2 p.m. I heard the whispers, the pity. She's the one whose husband ran off, right? I wanted to scream or sleep for a year, or disappear like he did, but pain has a way of transforming you. A week after the truth broke me, something changed. I was staring out the window, still in the same sweater I'd worn for days, when a memory surfaced. Aiden and I had once built a shelf together. A stupid little thing for the hallway. I remember how I'd messed up the instructions, and we ended up with 6 leftover screws. He laughed, kissed my forehead, and said, "It doesn't matter if it's perfect. What matters is we built it together." And now he had burned down what we built and left me buried in the ashes. But something in me whispered, "You're still here," and that mattered. So I stood up, I showered, I brushed my hair. I cleaned the kitchen. Small things, yes, but small things done while in pain are acts of rebellion. Acts of survival. I called my best friend Mira. She came over in 20 minutes with wine, pad thai, and the tightest hug I'd felt in months. I broke down in her arms, telling her everything, the money, the girl, the loans. She didn't judge. She didn't say, "I told you so." She said, "We're going to fix this. He may have run, but you're not going to fall." That night, I slept. The next morning, Mira helped me go through his files, his emails, his laptop, everything he left behind. There were trails, receipts, emails with Elena, flight bookings, a hidden stash of business cards for an LLC I'd never heard of. I created a folder on my desktop and named it Evidence. At first, it was just to organize my pain. Then I realized maybe I could do something with it. I contacted a lawyer. He listened, took notes, then looked me in the eye and said, "This isn't just a divorce. This is a fraud case, and you have a right to fight back." I didn't feel strong yet, but for the first time I felt angry, and anger, when sharpened by truth, can cut through despair. Bit by bit, I started piecing together the full picture. Elena hadn't just been his fling. She was his partner in business and betrayal. The two of them had transferred our money into accounts overseas. He had sold some of our investments, liquidated things we had spent years building. He hadn't just left me. He had destroyed me financially to build a life with her. But here's the thing about destruction. It clears space for something new, something better. I began writing everything down. Not just the transactions and evidence, but how I felt, the grief, the disbelief, the fire that was slowly building in my chest. I didn't want revenge. I wanted justice. And most of all, I wanted my life back. Pain can paralyze you. But sometimes, if you survive it, it transforms you. The woman who sat in my lawyer's office weeks later wasn't the same broken, hollow, doubt version who once clung to a sweatshirt on the kitchen floor. My hair was tied back, my makeup clean and minimal, my voice steady. The grief still lived inside me, but now it had a backbone. We have enough to build a solid case. My lawyer said, scrolling through the digital folder I had spent days compiling. Fraud, identity theft, embezzlement, possibly conspiracy if we can link her to the accounts. Her. Elena, I stopped calling her the secretary. She was no background character. She played her part. She helped him disappear, helped him destroy me, and now she was gone too. According to a private investigator Mira helped me hire, Aiden and Elena had been living under fake names in another city, about 400 miles away. They were renting a sleek beachside condo under a shell corporation he created using my name. The audacity didn't shock me anymore. I had stopped being surprised, now I was just focused. Do you want to confront him yourself? Mira asked one night as we drank tea on my porch. I shook my head slowly. No, I want him to see me in court. I want him to see that I'm not ruined, because that was the truth. I wasn't ruined, I was rebuilding. I'd taken a new job at a small marketing firm downtown, nothing glamorous, but it was mine. Every dollar I earned felt like a declaration. I paid off a few of the smaller debts he left me with. The rest I was fighting in court, with my lawyer pushing to clear my name from every fraudulent transaction. I started therapy, joined a women's support group, spoke, listened, cried, and eventually laughed again. There was comfort in knowing I wasn't alone, that betrayal wears many faces. But survival often looks the same, raw, messy, resilient. Each day I got stronger. Each night I checked the case updates from my lawyer and the investigator. And then one day it came. The PI sent me a photo, grainy, taken from a distance. Aiden, on a beach. Alone, no Elena, no smile, no glow of a man in love. Just him hunched over his phone looking smaller. My breath caught. It was the first time I'd seen him since the morning he vanished. He looked older, thinner, a little lost. It didn't make me feel better. It didn't make me feel worse. It just made me feel free. I clicked the second image, their condo, and proof he had signed the lease using forged documents tied to my social security number. The final puzzle piece, we had him. The arrest warrant was approved the next week. I didn't tell anyone, not even Mira. I wanted to hold the moment close. The full circle justice, the quiet satisfaction. I didn't need drama. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted it to be over. But fate, it seems, wanted to give me a front row seat. Because 2 days before the planned arrest, he called me. It was a number I didn't recognize, maybe a burner phone, or maybe he thought I'd changed mine. I hadn't, I didn't want to hide. I had nothing to hide from. I hesitated, then picked up. Hello, I said, voice steady. There was a pause. Then, hey, it's me. I felt nothing, not the usual heart spike, not the tightening in my throat. Just a strange, still quiet. Why are you calling me? I asked. He chuckled, low and cocky, the same way he used to when he got out of speeding tickets. I figured you'd want to talk. It's been a while. I didn't answer. He continued, I know you're probably still upset. But listen, things didn't work out like I planned. Elena's gone. Took off. Took some of the cash too. He paused. I've been thinking about us, about maybe coming back, starting fresh. And there it was, the final insult. After everything, after tearing apart our life, draining our savings, humiliating me, forging my name, he thought I would want him back. He thought I was still broken. I took a breath. And then I said calmly, "This is Detective Alvarez with the Financial Crimes Division. Mr. Reynolds, thank you for confirming your identity. Officers are en route to your location." Silence. Sweet, thick, golden silence. Then, click, he hung up. I exhaled slowly, a tremble of satisfaction running down my spine. The officers arrested him later that evening. No drama, no chase. Just quiet handcuffs and a long list of charges. I was at home, barefoot in my kitchen, drinking tea when I got the call. The officer simply said, "We have him." I whispered, "Thank you," and hung up. No cheers, no tears, just peace. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't mourning. I was done. The day of the hearing was warm, ironically beautiful. I stood in front of the mirror that morning for a long time, not out of vanity but reflection. I barely recognized the woman staring back. Gone were the hollow eyes, the shaking hands, the broken silences. She had grown sharper, calmer, unapologetically quiet in her strength. I wore a simple black dress, no makeup except lipstick, the same shade of red I used to wear when he loved me. It wasn't for him now, it was for me, a symbol of how far I'd come, and how I wasn't afraid of wearing color again. The courthouse was a cold building with pale walls and hard benches. I sat on the left side, the petitioner. He walked in through the side doors in cuffs. Aiden, my husband, ex-husband, I reminded myself. He looked thinner than the photos. Older, like someone had siphoned the shine right out of him. His once pristine hair was overgrown, his eyes bloodshot. But it wasn't his disheveled appearance that struck me. It was his eyes scanning the courtroom, searching for sympathy. He found mine, and I gave him nothing. When he saw me, he blinked. For a moment, something flickered in his face, disbelief. Regret, hope, I didn't know, I didn't care. I just looked back, calm and unflinching. The charges were read aloud: identity theft, fraud, forgery, marital abandonment, wire fraud, financial abuse as they listed each count. I stared ahead, jaw relaxed, fingers clasped in my lap. I didn't flinch, I didn't cry, and when they called me to the stand to make a statement, I stood with grace. My husband didn't just leave. I began, voice clear, echoing through the room. He erased me. He used my trust like a weapon. But I'm not here today to ask for justice out of vengeance. I'm here because I took my life back, and I want to make sure he never does this to another woman again. The courtroom was silent when I finished. He didn't meet my eyes again. The judge ruled in my favor. Aiden was remanded without bail pending trial. All fraudulent debts in my name were frozen under court order, and a civil suit was set in motion for restitution. Elena, it turned out, had already fled the country, but Aiden, he was caught, held accountable, finally. I stepped out of the courtroom into the afternoon sun. It hit my skin like a quiet blessing. Mira was waiting on the steps, arms open, a proud smile on her face. I let her hug me, let myself feel how far I had come. But I didn't cry. I'd done my crying in the dark. Now, I was standing in the light. Weeks passed. Life returned slowly, like sunlight creeping through blinds. I kept my job. I signed a lease on a small apartment by the water, not fancy, but mine. I furnished it with soft colors and second-hand books. I planted herbs on the windowsill. I played music in the mornings while I made coffee. For the first time in years, my life was quiet and my own. One night, I found his wedding band in a drawer, the one he'd left behind. I held it for a moment, then walked out to the balcony and tossed it into the trash. Closure doesn't always come with fire. Sometimes it comes with a whisper. You're free now. I kept the evidence folder, though. Not out of spite, but remembrance. A reminder that I had survived the worst thing that had ever happened to me, and I didn't just survive. I rebuilt. The last time I heard his voice was in that brief phone call, the one where he thought he was in control, the one where a detective answered instead of me. I wonder sometimes if he ever thinks about that moment, the chill in his spine when he realized he wasn't the predator anymore. That he wasn't calling the woman he betrayed, he was calling the law. The day they transferred him to county jail, I got a letter from his attorney. He wanted to talk. He said he was sorry, that he still loved me, that maybe, after all this, I burned it. Not out of anger, but because I no longer needed anything from him, not words, not closure, not even revenge. Because the sweetest justice isn't watching them suffer. It's watching yourself rise.